Hashtag AJ Lee meets Rhea Ripley backstage at WWE RAW. They said she was done. They said she'd never come back. They were wrong. AJ Lee just walked into Rhea Ripley's territory, and what happened next sent shockwaves through the entire WWE locker room. Emotions exploded, tensions ignited, and the wrestling world will never be the same after Monday Night Raw. You think you know what went down? You don't. Because what the cameras caught backstage wasn't just a moment, it was a declaration of war. Let's set the scene. Monday Night Raw. The energy is electric, the crowd is rabid, and somewhere in the backstage corridors of that arena, history is being written in real time. But nobody saw this coming. It starts innocently enough. Maxxine Dupri just pulled off the biggest victory of her entire career. We're talking about a woman who has fought, clawed, and scratched her way through every obstacle WWE has thrown at her. The doubters said she was just comic relief. The critics said she'd never break through. But on this night, Maxxine proved every single one of them wrong. She's standing there, breathless, emotional, her eyes glistening with tears of pure joy. This isn't just a win, it's validation. It's vindication. It's the moment where all those late nights in the performance center, all those brutal training sessions, all those moments where she questioned herself, they all suddenly make sense. The camera catches her in this raw, unfiltered moment of triumph. She's smiling, but you can see the weight of the journey behind that smile. Every setback, every criticism, every person who told her she wasn't enough. And now she's standing tall, victorious, and she can finally breathe. But here's where things get interesting, because as Maxxine is soaking in her moment, someone appears in the frame. Someone who knows exactly what that feeling is like. Someone who has been exactly where Maxxine is standing right now. AJ Lee. The arena no, the world collectively loses its mind. Because AJ Lee isn't supposed to be here. She retired. She walked away. She left wrestling behind and never looked back. Or so we thought. But there she is. In the flesh. Looking at Maxxine with this knowing smile, this understanding that only someone who has been through the fire can truly comprehend. And in that moment, generations collide. The past meets the present. The legend acknowledges the future. AJ approaches Maxxine, and you can see the younger wrestler's eyes widen. This is AJ Lee. This is the woman who revolutionized women's wrestling before the so-called women's revolution even had a name. This is the Divas champion who proved that size doesn't matter when you have heart, skill, and an unbreakable will to succeed. The two women embrace. It's not staged. It's not scripted. This is genuine respect between two warriors who understand the struggle. AJ whispers something to Maxxine. We can't hear it, but we can see the impact. Maxxine's eyes well up again, but this time it's different. This time it's not just joy, it's honor. It's recognition from someone she clearly idolizes. And then AJ does something nobody expected. She looks directly at the camera and says, "Maybe I'm not done after all." Wait. What? The implications of those 7 words are staggering. AJ Lee, one of the most beloved and controversial figures in WWE history, is hinting no, she's declaring that she might be sticking around. The woman who walked away on her own terms, who left at the height of her powers, who said she was done with wrestling, she's standing in WWE territory suggesting she's ready for more. But before anyone can process this bombshell, the atmosphere shifts. The energy changes. You can feel it even through the screen, that unmistakable sensation when a storm is about to break. Quick question for you, if AJ Lee came back full-time, who would you want to see her face first? Drop your dream match in the comments, ***, because walking down that same corridor, with the confidence of someone who owns every space she enters, comes Rhea Ripley. Now, let's talk about Rhea for a second. This isn't just any wrestler. This is the Eradicator. This is the woman who has dominated every division she's entered. This is the powerhouse who broke Charlotte Flair's WrestleMania streak. This is the Judgment Day leader who has made grown men tremble and hardened veterans think twice. Rhea Ripley doesn't share her spotlight. She doesn't play nice. And she definitely doesn't like legends walking into her locker room, on her show, without paying proper respect. The camera catches the moment when Rhea spots AJ. Time seems to slow down. You can see Rhea's expression change from casual confidence to something darker, something more intense. Her jaw tightens. Her shoulders square. Her entire body language shifts from just walking by to we're about to have a problem. And AJ? AJ sees her coming. But here's the thing about AJ Lee, she's never backed down from anyone in her life. She's faced monsters. She's survived the most cutthroat era of women's wrestling. She's stared down legends and made them blink first. So when Rhea approaches, AJ doesn't step back. She doesn't look away. She stands her ground, and the tension becomes so thick you could cut it with a knife. Rhea stops. Right in front of AJ. Two absolute forces in women's wrestling, separated by maybe 3 feet and an entire generation of evolution in the sport. Heard you might be sticking around, Rhea says, her voice dripping with the distinctive blend of confidence and challenge that has become her trademark. Interesting choice. The words hang in the air like a threat wrapped in politeness. Because that's not a welcome. That's not respect between peers. That's Rhea drawing a line in the sand and daring AJ to cross it. AJ tilts her head slightly, that mischievous smile playing at the corners of her mouth, the same smile that used to drive her opponents crazy, the same smile that preceded some of the most vicious attacks in Divas Championship history. Is it? AJ responds, her voice quiet but carrying the weight of someone who has nothing left to prove and therefore nothing to fear. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like things have gotten comfortable around here. Maybe they need shaking up. Shots fired, ***, the disrespect is palpable. AJ Lee, the returning legend, just implied that the current era Rhea's era has gotten soft. That the women's division needs saving. That she might be the one to do it. Maxxine stands frozen, caught in the crossfire of this verbal warzone. She looks like she wants to disappear into the walls because this is not the celebration she expected. This is two apex predators sizing each other up, and she's standing in the kill zone. Rhea takes a step closer. Not aggressive, but definitely not friendly. Her eyes narrow, and when she speaks again, every word is measured, controlled, dangerous. You've been gone a long time, AJ. Things have changed. We've changed. This isn't your division anymore. These aren't your corridors to walk down like you own them. And if you think you're just going to waltz back in here and reclaim some throne that doesn't exist anymore, you're going to learn real quick what happens to legends who forget their place. The threat isn't even veiled anymore. This is Rhea putting AJ on notice. This is the dominant force of modern WWE telling a legend that nostalgia won't save her. But AJ? AJ just laughs. Not nervously. Not dismissively. It's the laugh of someone who has heard threats before, who has faced them down, who has proven doubters wrong time and time again. My place, AJ echoes, shaking her head slowly. Rhea, I made places. I created opportunities. I opened doors that you walked through. So before you talk about what's changed, remember who changed it. Be honest, whose side are you on here? Team AJ or Team Rhea? Comment below, ***. The historical accuracy of that statement hits like a hammer. Because love her or hate her, AJ Lee was instrumental in forcing WWE to take women's wrestling seriously years before the women's revolution became marketing material. She held the Divas Championship for 295 days. She main event pay-per-views. She proved that women could draw money and ratings when given the chance. And Rhea knows it. You can see it in her eyes, that flash of acknowledgement quickly masked by defiance. Because Rhea Ripley respects the grind, respects the history, but she's also built her entire persona on being unafraid and unimpressed by reputation. Then I guess we'll see if you've still got it. Rhea responds, her voice dropping to something almost menacing. Because respect is earned here every single night. Not given because of what you did a decade ago. The gauntlet has been thrown. The challenge has been issued. And just when you think this powder keg is about to explode into physical violence, another voice cuts through the tension. Well, isn't this cozy? Everyone turns. And there, leaning against the wall with her arms crossed and that knowing smirk on her face, is Becky Lynch. The man. Oh, this just got exponentially more complicated. Because Becky Lynch has her own complex history with both of these women. She competed against AJ near the end of the Legends run. She's been in battles with Rhea that have torn the house down. And Becky has never been one to stay out of a good fight, verbal or otherwise. Becky pushes off the wall and walks into the frame, positioning herself in a way that's neither fully with AJ nor fully with Rhea. She's Switzerland with a punk rock attitude. AJ Lee, Becky says, nodding with genuine respect. Been a minute. Thought you were done with all this chaos. Thought so too, AJ admits, her eyes never leaving Rhea. But you know me, Becky. I've always been drawn to fire. Becky grins. And Rhea here. She gestures toward the Eradicator. She is the fire these days. Burned through everyone in her path. Made the division her personal playground. It's unclear whether Becky is complimenting Rhea or setting up for something else. That's always been her gift, keeping everyone guessing, maintaining that edge of unpredictability that made her the biggest star in women's wrestling. Rhea's eyes flick to Becky, suspicious. You got a point, Lynch? Or are you just here for commentary? My point, Becky says, stepping fully into the tension now, is that if AJ wants to come back and test herself against this generation, against what we built, then maybe we should stop posturing and let her prove whether she's still got it. Because talk is cheap. It always has been. The challenge hangs there, redirected but no less intense. Becky has essentially called both women out, AJ to prove she's not just living off past glory, and Rhea to prove she's as dominant as she claims. Maxxine finally finds her voice, though it comes out smaller than she probably intended. Can we maybe not destroy each other before I even get to celebrate my win? The comic relief breaks the tension just enough. AJ glances at Maxxine, and her expression softens. She remembers being the young wrestler caught in the politics and power plays of veterans. She remembers how terrifying and overwhelming it could be. "You're right," AJ says, stepping back slightly. "This is your moment, Maxxine. Congratulations. Seriously. Savor this. It's special." But then she looks back at Rhea, and the softness vanishes. "But we're not done. Not even close." Rhea smirks. "I'm counting on it." Who wins if these two actually go head to head? AJ's speed and psychology versus Rhea's power and aggression? Tell me in the comments. **** Becky watches the exchange with those calculating eyes, clearly already thinking 3 moves ahead. Because Becky Lynch isn't just going to let AJ Lee and Rhea Ripley steal her spotlight. If there's going to be a revolution, if there's going to be a war for dominance in the women's division, Becky is going to be right in the center of it. As the 3 women stand there representing 3 different eras, 3 different styles, 3 different philosophies of what women's wrestling should be, the implications become staggering. AJ Lee represents the foundation. She's the bridge between the old guard and the revolution. She fought when women's wrestling was still called the Divas division and was treated as an afterthought. She proved that storytelling, character work, and technical ability could overcome any limitations imposed by the system. Becky Lynch represents the breakthrough. She's the wrestler who kicked the door completely off its hinges. She main event WrestleMania. She beat Ronda Rousey. She became the biggest merchandise seller in the entire company. She proved that a woman could be the top star, not just the top female star. And Rhea Ripley represents the new empire. She's the physically dominant, no-nonsense, take-no-prisoners champion of a generation that grew up watching AJ and Becky and said, "We can do even more." She's ruthless, she's powerful, and she's proven that women's wrestling in 2024 and beyond belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it. 3 generations. 3 titans. 1 locker room. This is a recipe for absolute chaos. As the confrontation breaks up with AJ walking away first, never showing fear, just choosing her moment, Rhea staring holes through her back, and Becky watching both of them with that strategic mind already spinning, the wrestling world collectively realizes what we've just witnessed. This wasn't just a backstage moment. This was the setup for something massive. Because here's what we know, AJ Lee doesn't come back just to make cameos. When she commits fully. Her entire career has been about going all in, about burning bright and leaving nothing on the table. Rhea Ripley doesn't share. She doesn't collaborate. She doesn't play well with others unless they're in Judgment Day and following her lead. The idea of a returning legend trying to claim space in her division is personal disrespect. And Becky Lynch? She's been on top of this mountain before. She knows what it takes to stay there. And she's not about to let 2 other women, no matter how respected, push her out of the main event scene. The mathematics are simple: 3 women, 1 spotlight. Someone's getting burned. Let's talk about what this means for the immediate future of WWE RAW and the women's division as a whole. Because the ripple effects from this single backstage encounter are going to be felt for months. First, consider Maxxine Dupri. She just had her biggest win, and it got completely overshadowed by this confrontation. How does she feel about that? Is she grateful to AJ for the validation, or resentful that her moment got hijacked? Does she see an opportunity to align herself with one of these legends, or does she want to prove she can stand on her own? The storytelling possibilities are endless. Now think about the rest of the women's locker room. Damage Control, Chelsea Green, Ivy Nile. All these talented women who have been building their own narratives and fighting for screen time. How do they react to AJ Lee potentially returning and immediately jumping to the front of the line? Do they see it as inspirational, or do they see it as another example of WWE favoring the past over the present? The potential for backstage politics, for alliance building, for betrayals and power plays, it's all there, simmering beneath the surface. And what about the men's side? Because you know guys like Seth Rollins, who has history with AJ through the WWE timeline, CM Punk, who has history with AJ through, well, life, and others are watching this situation with keen interest. Wrestling is an ecosystem. When you throw a stone this big into one pond, the waves reach everywhere. Let's analyze each woman's potential strategy moving forward. AJ Lee's play. If AJ is really back, she's going to need to do 2 things simultaneously: prove she can still go at the highest level while also leveraging her legend status for maximum impact. She can't just rely on nostalgia. Fans will turn on that quick if the in-ring work doesn't hold up. But she also can't ignore her history and try to be just one of the girls. Her value is in being AJ Lee, the unpredictable, brilliant, dangerous competitor who revolutionized the division. Expect her to target someone meaningful quickly. Not a random match against a lower-card wrestler that does nothing for anyone. She needs a marquee opponent, someone who can work at her level and create a story that matters. Rhea is the obvious choice given this confrontation, but don't sleep on the possibility of AJ targeting Becky instead, creating a mentor versus student dynamic that could be electric. Rhea Ripley's response: Rhea can't let this disrespect stand. Her entire character is built on dominance, on being unafraid, on crushing anyone who challenges her authority. If she lets AJ walk back into WWE and talk to her like that without consequences, it undermines everything Rhea has built. Expect Rhea to be aggressive. She'll want to face